I am the founder and CEO of Vantage, and we are the next frontier of enterprise training. What we actually do is we leverage standalone VR and other emerging technological solutions to train enterprise companies around sexual harassment, culture, diversity, bias, etc. I know what you all are thinking. Perfect timing, right? What it looks like it took us 6 months to build actually took 20 months to build. So I'm actually going to launch into the backstory and tell you a little bit about how I got here. In the last month, we brought on our first handful of clients and early pilot partners, and in the last 4 months, we've been covered in nearly 30 press outlets. We're actually in Wired this month. But it wasn't always an easy ride. So today, my mission statement, and also what I want to share with you guys, is to focus blindly on your vision. I'm going to share my backstory about how I got here. I'm a biracial female from the South and a 2-time survivor of sexual violence. In November of 2013, actually, in 2013 in general, I moved to Italy, and I accidentally made an ignorant comment to a friend that really hurt her. And it wasn't until I made that comment that I realized people don't care about problem sets that don't affect them unless it indirectly impacts them or directly impacts them. So in that moment, I made that my personal life's mission, and I just didn't know it yet. So then, in November of 2016, I befriended my now advisor, Sarah Dill, the Director of Criminal Justice Standards. She invited me to Monaco, where she was giving a TED Talk on women as weapons of war. And of course, I said yes. So I attended as her VIP guest at the private speaker dinner. I wrote on the whiteboard that my life's mission was to reduce societal apathy via technology. But I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew I wanted to do it. So it was at the private speaker dinner where men and women, thought leaders in their industries, were having a conversation. And it was at that moment that I realized that nobody knew how to identify intervention points, and even when people could, nobody actually knew what to do. I thought on it for about 2 weeks, and then I woke up with the idea for this company. The original text messages are there. But I didn't really know how to jump into the industry. So naturally, I taught myself how to code and started going to hackathons. So I did self-led coding boot camps and workshops over the weekend and started going to hackathons to soft pitch this idea. I focused blindly on my vision. It became the only thing I cared about. So when I was in DC, all I cared about was gender parity, about problem sets affecting minority groups, about economic disparity. And eventually, I reached out to 300 of the top leaders in the XR space, including Sarah Hill, who I LinkedIn messaged, and she invited me to an OC4 luncheon as one of her guests. About 150 of the 300 people answered. I got 15 to 20 minutes of their time, and I learned a lot about the industry. But I didn't stop there. That's not the slide. So the last slide was supposed to be text messages from Rose McGowan. When Harvey Weinstein broke in October, I decided I wanted to join the conversation. So I messaged her pretty much every hour for a day until she listened. And she followed me back on Instagram and now responds to all of my messages. So focus blindly on your vision. Again, what looks like 6 months to create actually took 20 months to create. If you're passionate about something, you can do it. It doesn't matter your economic background, your educational level, your gender, your race, it doesn't matter. And the louder you are about your vision, the more likely you are to find people who align with your vision. Great products are built by great people, plural. Your only limit is the belief system that you hold for yourself. So you quite literally can do anything. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Morgan, everybody. So next up we have Cheryl Beyer, the wonderful Cheryl. Give it up for Cheryl, everyone.
Thank you. It's Cheryl Beyer, not to, it's okay. Just thought it's the only thing I got. Well, I so appreciate what Morgan was talking about, and passion and vision are the two things that I think drive all of us. We are Living Pop-Ups, and Living Pop-Ups, it has a purpose. We love the technology of AR. I'm going to show you some of our products. We come from Hollywood and storytelling and education, and for us, it's about embracing the technology, seeing that so much has been invested into it, and finding ways to make it something that actually becomes a tool that people can see, that they can use and emotionally connect to. So here's some of our product.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Kai coming to you live from your phone.
The word dictator. Oh, it has a lovely ring to it.
Welcome to the Colosseum, Rome's most iconic landmark.
You think I'm the only one to take advantage of a little fear? That's my beautiful Mona Lisa. Bravissima!
Do you know what treasure means? Do you? That's right!
Let's go!
So, I am just, thanks. I'm just a piece of a greater whole. It's because of the team, and there is no I in team. For us, it is a collaboration of great minds, and with that said, it's not just the technologists, it's the storytellers. And when I talk about storytelling, which I know a lot of people at this conference have talked about, we talk about from the inception of the idea, the writers that we've worked with. You know, I come from having been head of comedy at Fox or head of talent and development at ABC, worked on very successful shows with emotionally connection characters that you live with still today. And so to us, it was, how do we create a meaningful experience that people will actually use and keep using and make it sustainable, viral, and something that's scalable throughout your life. So for us, here's our team. Love them all. We started with Charlie Fink's book. I don't know if you know Charlie, but Charlie is the AR/VR contributing editor of Forbes magazine. And he came to us the day after Thanksgiving. I was like, hey, I still have turkey in my teeth. And he said, I'm doing this book at CES. And it's, I said, what's it about? And he said, as human behavior and technology as technology is changing, human behavior is changing. So we said, like the New Yorker magazine has a great little cartoon, let's create an ensemble of characters that people can relate to and understand how their relationships are changing and evolving with technology. So in education, the greatness of that book is now it's becoming a required reader in multiple schools for universities, which we're very excited about. So this is a second grade reader. This is Boxcar Children. And for age appropriateness, we are doing multiple choice questions as a reading comprehension workbook for education. And if it's a second grade reader, it's a reading comprehension workbook. If it's something that's like To Kill a Mockingbird, it's has more analytical thoughts and theory, and the characters pop up from the page, so you don't have to have a separate thing, and then they're interacting with you. And the thing that we appreciate is that kids do need eye-to-eye contact, so our characters have eye-to-eye contact. In tourism, we've found that it's important to have a shared experience. So the narrative of our characters take you around a world that instead of an audio tour or a bus tour, you're now engaged and using those markers or geolocations, characters pop up and create the world in which you are participating in. Here we have something that we did in the museum. I just said to Jamie, we were there, I said, just start doing it and show people that like people will follow on, and so they did. We're doing it in live events with bands and creating the narrative and the emotional connection to their fans. and we create more swag for them. And then we've shown ways to monetize it. So we're excited to support the technology that so many people have invested in. That's one half of the business. The other half is how to create the value of that technology. And for us, we see that it's through storytelling. So I thank you so much. I do want to say we created an episodic series with Simpsons writers that lives on your badge. There's 10 episodes, and so I hope to have you see it. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Cheryl Bayer. I apologize for pronouncing your last name wrong earlier. So next up, we have VIVIAN Tan. Is Vivian in the house? Yes, there she is.
Oh, podium. Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm sorry? Hit the play button. Hit the play button. It is right there. There we go. I have one slide. That makes it easy. Hey, everyone. I am VIVIAN Tan. I am the co-founder and CEO, or as we like to call it, Chief Beast at Beast Inc. So we are making magical pets for cross-reality. So we are creating we wanted to bring digital pets to life, meaning that they should go beyond just gaming, but be able to develop relationships with you. Since I spend so much time in technology, and so does my team, we wanted to build meaningful relationships with the creatures that are part of this technological world. So our first creation is a litter of very adorable baby dragons that currently live in VR, but eventually will also live in AR. And our goal is to have them be part of our extended reality and appear in the metaverse, in virtual worlds, and across augmented reality everywhere. And because we are a very, very small team, and we have a very long vision to achieve, we wanted to make sure that we not only stay on track, but ahead of the curve, especially in this AR/VR industry, which is rapidly changing. As you know, in the past 24 months, lots of new technologies have come out. So how do we maintain focus and be open to new ideas? And I have an amazing team. They're extremely agile, extremely talented, but we're only 3 people. So we have to be really strategic and deliberate about our business and product decisions. So first, we decided that it was really important for us to build a foundation that will serve as a springboard to the next phases of our development. So rather than trying to be AR, VR, and all that all at once, we built our first product, which is optimized for location-based entertainment centers and arcades. So we built our first VR experience called Beast Pets, where you can go to a dog park-like environment, but instead of meeting dogs, you're meeting flying puppy dragons. And then we launched this in arcades and LBs around the world. Today, we are in more than 100 locations worldwide and expect to be in more by the end of the year. So we made this decision to focus on location-based entertainment for 2 reasons. One, by creating an entry point in to the vaster Beast universe, we are creating a foundation that we can carry over to future products. For instance, the next phase of our development is creating a mobile AR experience, so people can bring the dragons with them instead of just visiting them at the Beast Park. Sorry, I should say in addition to visiting them at the Beast Park. Secondly, we're also building a customer base that that will translate from location-based over to mobile AR. So this allows us to build a solid foundation in terms of the user base and the product and be able to carry them over to the following phases of our development. And secondly, we realized that we needed a more nimble development process than what is traditionally used in interactive entertainment, which, as you know, typically takes 2 or 3 years of development or longer to build a single product and you launch all at once. We realized that for us, that was a risky move because AR/VR is changing so rapidly. We didn't want to just put our heads down, build, and then launch a product that's potentially outdated by the time we release it. So we made an even riskier move by launching our beta early and iterating upon it while the product was live in the market with paying customers. So of course, there are potential risks to that. First of all, we were pushing out new updates every week or every 2 weeks. But what it enables us to do was capture live market data with real customers, the arcades, and also their end users. This is data that we would not have been able to capture otherwise, and let us learn so much more about what customers really want, how they're really interacting with virtual reality, and how they want to interact with our next product, which is the augmented reality. I'm not saying that's a good development process for everyone, but it is something. It was a risky move we decided to make, and it worked out for us. And lastly, we had to be really careful about managing distractions. So while we were building Beast Pets, lots of shiny things came into our way. There was release of AR Kit and AR Core, blockchain blew up. We, of course, like every other company, we questioned ourselves, can we and should we do an ICO? And I was like, okay, guys, get back on track. We need to consider all these other things, of course, because as founders, we need to evaluate, are these things actually helpful to our business? So it's okay to consider it, but we can't go pivoting the company every 2 weeks. That would be terrible. So what we ended up doing is weekend hackathons and deep dives. If there's an itch we really need to scratch, for instance, at one point, we did a deep dive into blockchain for pets. Took a weekend, processed our ideas, looked into the technologies, jotted it all down, and figure out whether these cool new technologies and trends, whether that fits our business model. If not now, does it fit down the roadmap? Figure out where it fits, if at all. Build out a summary or a report, put it into the slide deck appendix, get it out of our systems, and get back to building what we're building. So what that enables us to do is not only stay on track, but also be able to make informed decisions about new technologies and trends that are emerging that we cannot ignore. So 3 things. Build a foundation that translates well to future phases. Secondly, be nimble. And 3, find a way to manage distractions and as well as be open to new ideas. All right, thank you very much. I'm always glad to talk about more.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. I could spend an hour in there with those corgi dragons if I could. All right, next up we have Lori Lee Emshey. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Here you go.
Hi everyone, my name's Laura Lee and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FutureSight AR. FutureSight makes augmented and mixed reality enterprise solutions for the oil and gas industry. And as you've heard today, and will probably continue to hear, there is no sort of standard track to becoming a founder. And my story is no exception to that. I found my way into entrepreneurship and tech in a distant place in a land far, far away, a place called Oz. No, really. When I finished my master's at NYU, I took my first overseas field assignment, and I landed a job doing the commissioning and handover of a $36 billion liquefied natural gas plant in Australia. And when I arrived on site, I found out that I would, in fact, be handing over a $36 billion facility to our client, but I would be doing it with pen and paper. Literally, thousands, maybe millions of forms stuffed into plastic binders that filled a shipping container. Back to school season at Target is still a dark time for me. So more troubling than the analog systems was what happened when we had a problem. When we didn't know something, we couldn't just go to Wikipedia or YouTube and look it up. There's no entries in there for that. What we had to do was go find a subject matter expert and ask them. And luckily for us, this project had plenty of subject matter experts on site. You just had to find the right one, and then when you did, you asked them 20 questions until you knew what they knew. And that was great, love to ask questions. What was the problem, what was troubling, was all of these subject matter experts had 20, 30, some of them 40 years of experience, and they were all about to retire. And none of that information that they had garnered over all those years was written down anywhere or stored anywhere accessible, unless neural lace has really made some strides in the last, half an hour. So, that was a problem. And once I understood this, a lot of other problems started to make sense. One of the big problems in the oil and gas industry is rework. They have a rework problem. In fact, from the get-go, before you even put a shovel in the ground, projects set aside approximately 12% of the project budget just to cover rework. On a small project, that starts at $2 million and goes up from there. Collectively, over the industry, that's $500 billion a year, $500 billion. So, going to work and facing this every day, I started to think back to my time at NYU, and specifically the time I spent at NYU Poly, where they had some nascent augmented reality hardware, and started to kind of put the problem and the technology together. When I came back to the States, I came back to Houston, I kind of pitched this idea at a ladies' coloring night, and Sophia Lazaro, who would go on to become co-founder and COO of Future Sight, was in the room. She's also an Agilist product manager. Really liked the idea. Everyone else kind of thought I was crazy, but that's fine. So together we kind of teamed up, and we literally scoured the globe looking for, a person, a startup, a company, and anything that we could partner with to kind of perfect this product that was, someone working on the same thing, that we could work with them and then, roll this out to projects and, make life on site suck a little less. And after 9 months of, soul searching and, dead-end emails and phone calls that went nowhere, we got kind of a gentle but insistent nudge from our mentor who said, you guys need to go build this yourselves. Like, stop wasting time and go do it. And the stars kind of aligned that month, and we ended up meeting Veena Somreddy, who would go on to become Future Sight's CTO, and Veena's actually here today, and she's going to get up on stage later and as part of WXR's second cohort, so go Veena. And together we teamed up and we built the product that I wish I had had when I was in the field and on site. That product's called The Bridge, and it's a mixed reality platform and content library that provides expert vetted and interactive work instructions to take a project from construction and installation through to pre-commissioning, commissioning, startup, operations, and maintenance. If you're having trouble picturing this, think Tony Stark's Iron Man helmet, but instead of Jarvis giving you a schematic of a skyscraper and a target to shoot lasers at, you get an interactive engineered 3D model and then a step-by-step guide on how to install a valve, which you will agree is just as cool. I'm glad you guys laughed at that one. So I'm kind of running out of time, but I'll wrap it up. So as you heard, I didn't do this alone. I had 2 other amazing co-founders. I also had the WXR Fund and the mentors we met through that. And my story of going out and living on a construction site for 2 years to get into tech is not a highly replicable or recommended thing to do. So if you really boil down our story, what we did was we started with a problem and then found a way that technology could solve that problem. And a lot of people and companies know that augmented and virtual reality are the future. And they go out and try to find ways to inject that technology into their existing systems or companies. And in our experience, this is a very frustrating and potentially very expensive way to go about it. So, our takeaway was if you can start with the problem and then find the technology to fit that, we had more success that way. And then also to remember, Sophia found this quote. I unfortunately don't know who originally said it, but there are no disruptive technologies. There are only disruptive applications of technologies. And in our opinion, the more disruptive, the better. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lori, for the inspiring words. So next up, we have Spandana Govindgari. Again, sorry if I'm butchering last names.
Good morning, everyone. Skip ad. Admit it. You love this button. You clicked it about 1,000 times every day, maybe. And you're not alone. Around 65% of people skip ads online. And 93%, when they see an ad, consider enabling ad blocking software immediately. Ads have become annoying, creepy, and intrusive. So I and my co-founder, having worked in the ad space at companies like Snap and Google, we started noticing interesting trends. My co-founder, Jay, worked as a designer on Google, helping redesign products like AdWords. And during his time there, he noticed that advertisers weren't getting enough engagement for their ads. Basically, this is the death of search ads. The CTR for a banner ad, which is a click-through rate, is sitting at a low 0.13%. So what this means for a brand is that they might as well throw their ad dollars in dark space. And when I worked at Snap in the ads team, I noticed opposite trends. People were interested in more and more immersive content, and they want to be part of this experience. So we went ahead to validate our assumptions. We noticed that brands like Zara, 7-Eleven, and IKEA were already reaping benefits of augmented reality advertising. And today, people's minds are trained to ignore the banner ads. People are demanding more and more engaging content that is highly personalized, relevant, and that can give them instant gratification. Okay. So now we have all these AR experiences, but how do we deliver them at scale to a mass audience? This is where Hype comes in. We are bringing augmented reality experiences to any AR app in a way that is subtle, contextual, and non-intrusive to the user's experience. And here's how it works. Imagine a user playing an AR tic-tac-toe game, and they come across objects in their environment. For example, a phone, a Daydream mouse, or a keyboard. And when a relevant object comes across, for example, a phone that a brand can attach their ad to, in this case, AT&T, the ad shows up, and when the user clicks it, they opt into this experience and actually engage with the experience. So Hype at its core is an ad network. What we're trying to do is help brands distribute their ad content across multiple platforms. We are launching a beta SDK in order to help developers distribute as well as monetize these ad content. So if you're an AR app developer looking for interesting ways to monetize, feel free to reach out to me at the end of this talk. And the way we're going to scale is the number of developers we onboard, the number of users that we're going to see is also going to scale with that. And when we did experiments on our ads, we noticed that people actually tended to like our ads better because they weren't interrupting their experience, but were part of the experience. How many people have seen this? All right, if you Google nightmare of augmented reality advertising, this shows up. It's called hyper-reality. You might be wondering, is this the future of what we're building? Nope. What we're trying to bring is highly personalized and contextual experiences to the right user at the right time to engage them in a way that will drive them to a store with a purpose. That's what we call context-relevant advertising. And we believe with augmented reality, a better reality like this is possible. So if you believe in our mission for making ads more fun and memorable, feel free to reach out to us. I also wanted to take this time to share our journey with WXR. The startup journey is more of a test of mental character than the time you spend or the product. I and my co-founder are first-time entrepreneurs and immigrants, and we want to thank WXR. We started a journey with WXR back in January, and we were able to close our funding round. And thank you. And really bring our idea to real brands, real developers, and help people monetize their apps. So thank you, and thanks for all the mentorship experiences and the great network. It's really required if you're especially a first-time entrepreneur. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spandana. That was awesome, and so happy that you have achieved so much in such a short amount of time. It's really inspiring to see that. So last but certainly not least, we have the stellar Sarah Hill, who's already gotten a shout out this morning, and she's going to tell you about StoryUP XR. So,
great. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. I also want to start by saying thank you to Women in XR, not only for the valuable friendships and collaborations, but introductions, all of those social media shout outs that I know all of you guys work so hard on. That's really helpful to build community, so thank you very much. So let's start, and if you can click that thing on the bottom that says video link, that would be great. StoryUP has a product called Helium, and these are virtual reality scapes that are actually controlled by your brain and by your biometrics. You have the ability to see your own brainwave patterns displayed inside the screen for your happiness. Do you have the ability to click the video link or not? No, okay. No worries, it's all good. So this is our incredible team, and we are based in Columbia, Missouri, and Corvallis, Oregon, a group of storytellers, documentary filmmakers, neurofeedback specialists, as well as people who've had successful exits, and people who've had some exciting careers working for some great groups, including NASA. So inside our experiences, which are not only virtual reality, but augmented reality as well, you see your gamma asymmetry displayed inside the screen. Gamma asymmetry, or left frontal gamma, is associated with feelings of joy, openness, or positivity. So you see that in the screen, and you're able to manipulate assets in the screen using that feeling of happiness. So for instance, in this experience, you're able to float up the side of a beautiful waterfall in virtual reality just using those thoughts. We have another experience debuting at AWE where you can hatch butterflies out of a chrysalis just by those feelings of positivity. This is the world's first VR and AR product that's controlled by a brain-computer interface. Brain-computer interface sounds like it's big and bulky. It's not. These are just headbands that you wear on your forehead, just simple headbands. And what we've developed is a prescription for happiness that allows people to not only see their neurological reflection for the very first time, but to know that it has value to power things not only in the virtual world, but the real world as well. That problem that we're solving is stress, right? It's a $300 billion people and profit killer. We can't keep taking pills. We really can't. And this is a digital therapeutic that reduces that brain stress in as little as 4 minutes. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is the high beta activity in your brain, or the stress reaction in your brain. And in a couple peer-reviewed journal articles that are coming out later this year about Helium, you'll learn more about how it affects users' physiology. But it's pretty telling that before and after the experience, you can see that effect. So our origins are in virtual travel for veterans. We were trying to find a solution for a group of terminally ill and aging World War II veterans who weren't able to physically travel to see their memorials in Washington, D.C. So through thousands of demos over the last 3 years, we noticed that these experiences appeared to be affecting the veterans' physiology, and so we decided to study it. How are these experiences affecting the brain? And as you can see, they affect them in a very unique way. So that is a little bit of a glimpse into our company, and we just want to say that we are tremendously thankful. We're halfway through our round. So, and we're hopeful that we know that we'll be able to raise it and close it here at the end of this month. And the reason why is because some of the individuals in this room who opened their arms up to us and widened our sphere of influence as a startup starting out. So we're incredibly thankful. And to all of the other CEOs in the room, keep going.